Welcome to the Pink Sphere podcast. This is your 30 minutes of pink, a weekly space to pause, breathe, and tune into something real. Each episode, one of our incredible coaches join us for a conversation that actually sticks with you, the kind that shifts how you move through the day, through your work, and your life. Today's episode is called Grounded, Present, and Powerful. And that's exactly the energy we're stepping into with Alejandra. Hi, Alejandra, how are you?
Hi, Nadine. I'm well and a little bit excited and nervous, as I always am when I'm doing something new.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're here. And I just want to start with this question. What does mindfulness really mean in the context of leadership and everyday life?
A bit about mindfulness in general. It
Yeah.
has like different aspects to it. I
Mm-hmm.
think one thing about mindfulness is intentionality, so being intentional. There is something about mindfulness about being present,
Mm-hmm.
about slowing down,
Yeah.
because all of those elements help us to connect with ourselves
Mm-hmm.
and be more aware of what's really going on. There is also an element of self understanding and compassion. Um, Empathy.
Yeah,
So,
of
all of
course.
that for me is part of mindfulness.
Mm-hmm.
It's also interesting that in some Asian languages, there is not a distinction between mind and heart. So,
Wow.
mindfulness can also be heartfulness.
Mm.
And I think there is something around how mindfulness is around the whole.
Yeah.
So the mind, the heart, the body,
Body.
the intuition, you may say the spirit. So there's something about wholeness into
Mm-hmm.
mindfulness, and the attention, the awareness, and the intention to be present with the whole and to listen to the whole. And so that awareness of body with all these elements. And because the body gives us a lot of information, we
Mm-hmm.
tend to live our life from our next up and make the mind be the most important thing. And that the mind is amazing, and that's one of the things that differentiate us as human beings from other beings. But we are more than our minds.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not only that, but I think we function better, for lack of a better word, when we are connecting our minds and the rest. We are, yeah, whole, more complete. And so all of that, I think, when it comes to leadership, I think it's a an intentional an intentionality to be at our best,
Mm-hmm.
an awareness of self, so that I can also be more aware of others,
Of
more
course.
understanding, more empathy, more able to notice what's going on for them, and with intention to serve, to support, to challenge,
Mm-hmm.
an awareness of what the bigger picture needs, what the system that we're operating needs.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are some of the relationships between mindfulness and leadership. I'll stop there just to see if you want to ask a follow up
No, no,
question,
no.
because I can speak forever.
No, it's interesting, and I want to learn more because I, as a leader, as the founder of the Pink Sphere, want to learn more about mindfulness because I really care about the emotions of everyone on the team. I really try to be as empathetic as possible. So I do want to learn more, and I do want to use it on my everyday life. So
Mm.
perhaps you could show us a, I don't know, a simple movement or mindfulness practice that perhaps anyone watching us today can practice as well. Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so I'm going to use something very simple and very
Mm-hmm.
accessible. Not because of that less powerful, but
Yeah.
I'm going to work with sitting, which we
Okay.
most do, even if you're
Yeah.
sitting on the bus, on the train, on the plane. But think
Mm-hmm.
about when you're working, and the breath, which are
Okay.
both very portable, and we are doing that all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna invite us. First is to move a bit so that we feel that we
Okay.
are sitting comfortably, because we sometimes we're sitting for hours and we don't realize that that wasn't the best way of sitting for my body and my mind. So yes, feel like um, you are sitting in a way that you feel comfortable, and that may takes to move a little bit your shoulders, your
Hmm.
legs. Maybe close your eyes or look down where it feels safe. Yes, notice, how does it feel to be you in this body right now?
Hmm.
Not need to change anything. And if there is something that you feel like you could change just to be in a better space in your body, just move a bit. And now I'm going to invite you to feel your feet flat on the floor and press a little bit so that you invite that intention of being grounded.
Hmm.
So here we are sitting with our feet flat on the floor. And now I want you to do a little bit of a scan from your feet through your legs to your torso, your chest, your shoulders, your head, the top of your head, and invite you to send the top of your head toward the sky, toward the ceiling. You may say towards the universe. So we are here sitting intentionally, being grounded to our feet and being open in our chest and connected to that is beyond here. And take a breath. And another one. And keep that connection to the awareness of your body and how is it feeling. And add that layer of your breath coming in and out. And where can you feel your breath? And use the breath intentionally to enhance that sense of groundedness. When the air comes in, you expand, you become more alive. There's oxygen coming into your blood. And when the breath comes out, there is a natural relaxation, letting go, softening. And so here we are, experiencing mindfulness through sitting and breathing. The things that we are doing every day. So let's take a last breath together, like deeply in. Let it go, move your shoulders and come back.
Oh, wow. I feel sleepy a little. I feel relaxed. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like it. Thank you. Thank you, Alejandra. And I have to be honest, I wasn't really into mindfulness and meditation at first, but with the coaches that we have at the Pink Sphere, and thanks to you, I keep learning more and more about
Mm.
it, and I really start enjoying it. You know? Thank you for that. Thank
Yeah.
you for introducing me to the world of mindfulness and meditation.
You're welcome. And I'm sure you have been doing mindfulness before
Yeah.
knowing you did, because it's also natural for the humans to be in a space or look
Hmm.
for spaces of relaxation and groundedness, and that's why certain activities are so enjoyable, or we are so drawn to them, like being in nature or walking or exercising or painting or doing something that requires your full attention in the moment, even if you're brushing your teeth.
Yeah.
That's mindfulness.
Yeah, I think the time that I was using mindfulness without knowing was this
Yeah.
period in my life where I constantly had panic attacks, and during the day multiple times. I was just laying down and listening to my heart and keep reminding myself that I was here, there was no danger, and so on. Perhaps it was me using mindfulness to get back to reality, survive in that scary time, because the panic attacks, they are scary, they keep making you question that if what you're feeling is real or not. So I think that was the time I was using mindfulness the most, but without knowing.
100%. 100%,
Yeah.
because mindfulness, what does is bringing you back to this present moment where most of the time we are okay.
Yeah.
Well, the mind will trigger you and will take you to a fear survival space, which is also very natural. We're not making that wrong, but it's not really happening. It's happening in our minds.
Minds.
So
Yeah.
mindfulness bring you back to right here, right now. I am safe. I am okay.
And have you heard any other misconceptions about mindfulness?
So one of the biggest misconceptions is that mindfulness is about and meditation is about not thinking and emptying the mind. That will be amazing, but it's just so
Yeah.
impossible. That's not how we build. As humans, we build to think about constantly, make sense, and but what mindfulness is about calming the mind. And and I think the biggest part of mindfulness that is a misconception is that it's not about not thinking, it's about being aware when your mind is going and feeding into thoughts and bringing it back to the object of your attention, that either your body, your breath, a mantra. And that's mindfulness, coming back. It's not even being there, it's coming back and coming back a million times if needed. Not to stop thinking, but to lower the intensity of your thoughts so that you can be present to something else. The other misconception is that mindfulness is about stillness and you have to be seated for I don't know how many, 5 minutes, half an hour, or 11 days sometimes without moving. That's also impossible. To start with, the body never stopped moving. The fact that we're breathing in and out and our heart is moving, all our organs are moving. So mindfulness is not about not moving. It's about finding internal stillness within the movement of the body and within the movement of life. Although people think, okay, in order to meditate or to be mindful, I have to be seated and the candles light and the music, and it's such a special space where I have to be. That's great, and that's a way of mindfulness, like I'm gonna have specific meditation. But mindfulness, it's anytime, all the time. You can do life in a mindful way when you're moving, when you're brushing your teeth, when you're walking. So it's not about stillness. It's not about not thinking. It's not about a specific, a special environment.
So, Alejandra, you basically say that mindfulness is a way of living, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a practice. It's a
Yeah,
practice.
yeah.
It's an intentional way of living. When you imbibe many things, and you use what's there, what's real.
I have a friend. She wakes up in the morning, opens the window, looks at the sun, and she says, "It's such a beautiful day." But for me, it was so hard. I have two kids, and they were at the time both under three. And it was, for me, waking up was stepping into another nightmare because I had no time to rest. I had to keep running after them. And it was just struggling. And slowly, I think after I met all the coaches at the Pink Sphere, you know how I say that I am the first client of the Pink Sphere, right? After meeting all of you, I started to start my days more positive, more focused, and
Mm.
when there are things to get done, I get them done early in the morning and I am motivated and I feel happy. Perhaps I started to do more mindfulness, more started to be more present and, just accepting what I am, who I am.
So I think what you describe in there is something around autopilot in a way, and I'm saying this with respect. I'm being a mom of two
Yeah, yeah,
kids.
yeah.
It's not an
Yeah.
easy job,
Yeah.
but there is something around maybe not thinking or not stopping to think about, okay, this is reality. What part of it can I impact? And
Yeah.
this is calling that intentionality without belittling what is difficult. But if that's the context and it's difficult to raise two kids, what part of
Hmm.
it can I impact? So that kind of coming back to that intentionality. That's one thing. So I think in the intentionality. Then another misconception, and this is part of thing what you're saying there, it's that we sometimes think that we have to make radical changes to be more mindful or happier or more
Hmm.
fulfilled or and I think it's about small changes are the biggest things.
Yeah.
Being intentional, thinking about the things that you can impact, thinking about small things, and start doing it every day, every time.
Hmm.
Because as I say, it's a practice. So what I'm hearing there is inspired by your friend, you
Yeah.
decided to go from the autopilot, is just waking up to, oh, another day, and it's difficult, and not even thinking about, okay, how do I want to start to think about, okay, the day is not going to change, but I'll try to focus on what is positive and things that I can
Hmm.
do. Small
Exactly. Yeah.
things, used to, I don't know, look through the window and look to the sun, or even the rain can be inspiring, especially if you
Yeah.
live in
Yeah.
London. You have to
Yeah.
do with what you have and do it every day intentionally to kind of come in. It's a little like this mantra in, I'm going to do whatever it takes to be okay and to
Hmm.
enjoy whatever's in front of me. That
Yeah.
making sense?
Yeah, yeah, it does. It does. And perhaps there is another mom listening to us today. She is waking up just like I did. And what do you think, in a busy life, where can someone realistically begin this journey,
Mm.
right? How do they know that they need to start to have a more mindful life?
Mm. How to be mindful or implement mindfulness into your life when it's busy and chaotic,
Yeah.
and yeah, how it realistic and where to
Mm-hmm.
start.
Mm-hmm.
um I may repeating myself, but first is to having that intention
Yeah. Yeah.
and having a consistency to come back to my intention and ways to check in. So my intention is to be calmer, for example,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna be constantly checking in. Is that gonna take me closer to calm, or is it taking me away?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, and I think slowing down in general,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you're doing with your day, just be having an intentionality of slowing down will help. So even if
Mm-hmm.
you have to do 100 things, if you could do it a little bit slower, you will create an energy which is less hectic, and you will
Mm-hmm.
be more able to be present to what's really going on for you. And so when I think about two things, when I think about busy lives and the thought of stopping for half an hour to meditate is feels really far away, and it's complex because it's very difficult to stop. I'll say stop very small. Three
Yeah.
minutes is great. 3 minutes of breath is perfect. Find any activities that you do, from brushing your teeth to going to the shower to doing changing nappies, and be intentional about paying attention to what you're doing through your senses, to the sense of touch, to what you're hearing, to what you're seeing, to what you're smelling, what you're tasting. So you can do that with anything. So any of your normal, like mundane activities can become a mindful activity. Yeah. So slowing down, decide one activity that you're gonna do anyway, as you're gonna brush your teeth, I hope. And so you're gonna pay attention to slowing down, opening the tap, listen to the water, the smell of the toothpaste, the sensations in your mouth. You can do, anyone can do that. So that's one thing. And the second thing, I'll challenge when people think that they don't have space to be mindful, because mindful can be done in anything. It's just being intentional about it. You don't have to change radically. You don't have to become a yogi and sit on your knees for half an hour. It's from the moment you wake up, you can remember, okay, how I'm going to slow down today, what
Yeah.
I'm going to pay attention to.
Yeah. And I think mindfulness is really important in parenting. You know, when you have a kid running around the house, pushing your boundaries, you know, who doesn't listen to you most of the time because that's kids. And you have to always be calm and, mindful of him or her, to try to understand, to be empathetic, to understand the reason that's lying underneath his behavior.
Hmm.
So it has to be present. Mindfulness has to be there. But what do you think in relationships? For example, you are with a partner that has anger management issues,
Mm-hmm.
and you want to help him stay more calm. I don't know if it makes sense, but how do you encourage him to be more mindful? Do you think it's possible?
So let me think about that. How can you encourage someone else to be mindful?
Yeah,
So my
especially, yeah.
first, especially, sorry.
Sorry, especially if he or she has some anger issues, right?
Mm.
They get heated up in a conversation, and you want them to be more calm because you like calm. You want to help them learn to be more calm. How do you do that?
So my first response is that it has to come from them.
Just like therapy, right? They should be the one to want that.
That's my my first response. Then the because of survival mechanisms and how the mind is has been built, we can influence each other. So if I am in a very hyper mood and you come into the room, I may take you there, because for survival we kind of blend and imitate and try to fit the energy of others to have a sense of belonging and safety. Um, but the other also is possible that I am in a state of um, hyperactivity, and then you come calmness and you can draw me too.
Yeah.
So, and that's when intentionality comes too. So instead of asking that person, be more mindful, or these are the things that you want to do, especially if they're not asking for that, because the worst advice is the ones that has been asked for, and that can create defensiveness,
Yeah.
because it can be feel as you are judging or saying
Attacking.
that something wrong with you. It's a little bit by role modeling, I suppose. So if I can maintain my calmness, I may be able to influence the other. Also, it is all very good to want the other one to be calm, but be
Yeah.
very, very, very aware that when that person is angry, for example, and they've been triggered, how are you feeling about it? Because maybe your intention is for you to, both to be calm, but you can become triggered and you maybe embodiment anger and frustration, and you go and talk to them about calmness and mindfulness. But when you trigger, and
Yeah.
I think that also triggers the other, and that
Mm-hmm.
what we call saboteurs are kind of, instead of talking from a calm base mind, we are talking from both being triggered, me thinking that I am doing the right thing, and they
Yeah.
feeling maybe that you are criticizing. So talking in this level is very difficult. Well, if you
Mm-hmm.
notice that you are there, is just coming back, even not talking about it, is embodying
Mm-hmm.
calmness with your own
Yeah.
practices, with your own role modeling. But if you do it, you live your life in a more mindful way, you slow down, you, and maybe the other one will come there, and only have a conversation about, I think you will benefit from calming down when you are really calm and the other person is calm, because there's more
Mm-hmm.
openness to it from a
Yeah.
calm mind, calmed
Yeah.
mind, calm mind, whatever you say,
Yeah. So, Alejandro, if listeners remember just one thing from today's episode, what should it be?
slow down. And you can use, I mean, a little bit of a tool here. You can use the word stop. So
Mm-hmm.
whenever you get triggered, stop. And the S is a stop or slow down.
Mm-hmm.
The T is take a breath. The O is observe. So once you have to
Mm-hmm.
slow down and take a breath, observe what's going on for you in your mind, in your body, in your emotions. And only then proceed. But you
Mm-hmm.
have, by stopping and slowing down, you have created a gap between what they say the stimulus and the response, so that you
Mm-hmm.
respond instead of reacting. So slow down.
Thank you, Alejandra. Thank you so much for the time and joining me here today. And that's a wrap on today's 30 Minutes of Pink. And again, a big thank you to Alejandra for making mindfulness feel less like a trend, right? And more like something we can actually live with, especially when things are messy or loud. And if something clicked for you today, go check out Alejandra's profile on the Pink Sphere. Her work blends movement, awareness, and calm in a way that's both real and accessible. Stick around because next week, a new coach, new topic, and a fresh episode that just might change the way you see yourself. Until then, notice how you're feeling. You might be more present than you thought. Okay? Bye.
Thank you. Bye, Nadine. Pleasure.